Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to 7 Days. I'm Sheila Nduhuchere alongside Maureen Nambalera on Sign Language. This afternoon, we recap the major stories of the week, highlighting those stories that have had you debating. Thank you for your company this Sunday lunchtime here on 7 Days. Let's now take a look at what you can expect to come your way over the next half an hour. Pregnant women's tale of abandonment at Nakuru Hospital as facility struggles with shortages. Fallen from grace, Makerere University professor suspended over giving fake marks. We shall be shackled by debt. Ministry of Finance warns government against committing billions for the standard gauge railway project. IGG Irene Mulyagonja talk staff accuses the Office of the Attorney General of interference. Again, a very warm welcome to 7 Days. I'm Sheila Nduhuchere with Maureen Nambalera on Sign Language. We start off with rather a sad story. A pregnant woman died at the Nakuru Hospital in Kampala on Thursday after a doctor allegedly bungled her delivery procedure. The authorities say the doctor was overwhelmed by the number of patients he had to treat. The public hospital suffers a severe shortage of medical personnel to attend to the hundreds of patients who seek treatment daily. We have that report. This is the condition in which expectant mothers at Nakuru Hospital face before delivering their babies. According to an eyewitness, a woman bled to death yesterday while giving birth at this hospital. The unfortunate incident is attributed to the negligence on the part of the doctors.
She went into a coma. She passed on. But the possibilities that she was attended to late are very high.
But the hospital director, Dr. Edward Nadumba, denies the allegation.
She developed a complication after delivering, and of course she bled, and that bleeding was from a silent bleeder, which could not be easily identified.
Reports also indicate that another woman delivered a baby on the hospital's floor due to the shortage of beds.
Then she tried to kneel down because the contraction had intensified and the baby was now coming out. So when in the process of her kneeling down, the baby landed on the tiles.
Dr. Nadumba says the hospital, which was initially meant to cater for 100 patients, now has over 300 of them.
We are overwhelmed by the number of patients, okay? The hospital is only 100 beds by construction, and unfortunately, we are getting more than that number on a daily basis.
The situation has compelled many of the pregnant women to sleep on the floor or share beds. This is the maternity ward. At least 25 deliveries are carried out every night in this facility that has about 15 beds. The hospital director says there are only 10 medical officers and 3 senior consultants to attend to the huge number of patients. This hospital was constructed by Chinese experts 2 years ago to decongest the National Referral Hospital in Mulago. Back then, many people had high hopes that it would help improve the poor healthcare services in the country. But the situation is clearly not any better.
We cannot carry that burden alone. They need to construct other hospitals, okay, slightly bigger than this one around Kampala.
One of the recommendations by the Ministry of Health is that all health facilities provide pregnant women with mosquito nets. But the patients here are all on their own. Some of the patients also told us that the nurses ask them to bring basic requirements like gloves, which are supposed to be provided for free. The initial plan of this hospital was to decongest Mulago. However, with just 3 years of operation, the officers here are already complaining that they're being overwhelmed. The big question remains, how fast will government act to heal this state-of-the-art facility? Sheila Nduhuchere, NTV. Well, we do hope the concerned authorities can look into that matter with urgency. Now, Makerere University has suspended a senior lecturer in the East African School of Library and Information Sciences for academic fraud. Vice-Chancellor Professor John Dumba Sentamu suspended Professor Elisa Magara following allegations that he awarded marks to the head of departments without actually assessing and marking the scripts. Professor Magara is also accused of taking money for the unmarked scripts, which he later agreed to refund. Maurice Ochol with that report.
A top Makerere University don has been implicated in academic fraud. Vice-Chancellor Professor John Dumba Sentamu has written to Professor Elisa Magara of East African School of Library and Information Science, suspending him. This is to allow investigations into the claims that Professor Magara awarded marks to students without marking their scripts. Professor Dumba stresses that Professor Magara awarded marks and submitted the marks to the head of department without actually assessing and marking the scripts for the course oral history and paleography. According to the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Magara also claimed and receiving funds for the unmarked scripts, which money he agreed to refund. NTV contacted principal of the East African School of Library and Information Sciences, Dr. Constant Okelo Obura, who confirmed that indeed Professor Magara has been suspended from duty and put on half pay as investigations into his conduct continue.
It will be investigated and they get into the details of the matter. But the preliminary issue is that he submitted the marks of the students of the course he was teaching when he had actually not marked the scripts. But the details will come after the investigation.
When NTV contacted Professor Magara on phone, he denied knowledge of the allegations against him. But according to the Vice-Chancellor's letter to him, Professor Magara responded to the allegations in a letter on 1st December, but Professor Dumba found his explanations unsatisfactory. Maurice Ochol, NTV.
Thank you, Maurice Ochol. Now, the Ministry of Finance has warned that Uganda's debt burden could escalate to alarming levels of 84% if government goes ahead and borrows billions of dollars from Exim Bank of China to construct the standard gauge railway. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance, Keith Muhakanizi, who is also the Secretary to Treasury, sounded the alarm bell while appearing before the Select Parliamentary Committee investigating alleged fraud in the award of the contract for the standard gauge railway. Francis Jingo has that report from Parliament.
Secretary to Treasury Keith Muhakanizi, who appeared before the Parliamentary Select Committee investigating the standard gauge railway contract, began by apologizing for the past financial scandals where taxpayers lost billions of shillings.
If you see opium scandal, if you see the pension scandal, if you see all this, we admit we were weak. We didn't do proper supervision as we should have done. We have said, like all great people, we have said we sincerely apologize for that. But since then we have come aggressively.
Controversy has marred the award of the contract for the construction of the standard gauge railway line from Maraba to Kampala to the Northern Corridor up to Nimule in South Sudan. Several ministers and senior government officials in the Works Ministry have reportedly crashed over the deal as they fronted different Chinese companies for $9.4 billion project worth approximately 24.4 trillion shillings. Muhakanizi informed the committee that he questioned the contract sum of $6.7 billion. The Works Ministry initially agreed with the China Harbour Engineering Corporation, CHEC, the Chinese firm that was finally awarded the deal.
That please, this is not the best interest of the country, and just answer these questions and so that we can move forward.
The documents before the committee shows that $6.7 billion does not include other costs like electricity infrastructure, resettlement costs, capital and environmental impact assessments, taxes, and insurance. Muhakanizi warned that Uganda's debt burden could escalate to alarming levels of 84% if government commits to borrow billions of dollars from the China's Exim Bank.
Go and do the railway, but given our debt numbers and what else the government wants to do as of economic objectives, don't go beyond this amount of money.
You stated an amount?
We seem to be clearing. In one of my letters, we said 1.8, but still it can't be 6.8. No, it will be too high. Probably it will be probably around 3. But we are ready to clear.
The country will be bankrupt.
Yes, but no, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Our debt management is still very good.
No, at 84% you would be bankrupt.
Agreed, but the point I'm making, that's what we are raising on our issues, and the government. That's why I was very happy. I said the government has accepted our approach.
But NTV can reveal that the $6.7 billion contract sum will escalate to $9.4 billion after factoring in all the costs. This document clearly indicates how the contract sum escalated. It reads, the Ministry of Finance received a draft commercial contract between the Ministry of Works and the China Harbour Engineering Corporation (CHEC) amounting to $6.7 billion, excluding all local taxes of $1.2 billion and other accelerated costs of borrowing like interest and insurance. When you factor in taxes, the tentative cost of $7.9 billion rises to $4.4 billion when all the associated costs are included.
That is our national budget for 2 years. You know that, don't you? It's our national budget for 2 years. You are going to borrow for one project, and we don't know where the money is coming from, how we are going to repay it. We have no approval. We have no approval from Parliament.
The economy growing, we'll have more capacity, then we'll allow another section of the railway. We are saying contract it in phases. We are not opposed at all. Because as GDP goes up, it allows you space to borrow more.
China's Civil Engineering Construction Corporation that lost the railway deal to CHEC blew the whistle on what they said was illegal termination of their memorandum of understanding with the government.
We should avoid being seen as the ones unilaterally breaching the memorandum of understanding. And this is signed by the Solicitor General.
Jingo Francis, NTV, Parliament.
Thank you very much, Jingo Francis. The Inspector General of Government, Justice Irene Mulyagonja, has lashed out at government institutions interfering with the Inspectorate's work. Justice Mulyagonja cited the Attorney General's office as one of the government entities that interfere with her work. She made the remarks at the launch of this year's Anti-Corruption Week under the theme Accelerating the Fight Against Corruption. The Attorney General, Peter Nyombi, has responded to the allegations, describing them as childish. Today, Biarhanga reports.
Government agencies, media managers and various anti-corruption agencies converged in Kampala to deliberate on the best way to fight corruption. But the head of the Inspectorate of Government, Irene Mulyagonja, used the opportunity to warn the Office of the Attorney General and those she says are interfering with her work as the lead agency in the fight against graft.
Whoever wants to fight me on the powers of the Inspectorate, please be warned, I shall fight, and I can fight dirty.
I think the best is to behave in a mature way. If she has any issue with this office, she can pick a telephone, call me. But I want to assure you there has been no interference.
Mulyagonja's outburst came just weeks after she rejected representation by the Attorney General and instead asked court to allow the Inspectorate defend itself in a case where a Chinese company